Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English in Moments. I'm Elena, your host for today's lesson. If you're new to our community, we're dedicated to one simple mission: helping you bridge the frustrating gap between the English you learn in a textbook and the fast, real English you actually hear in daily life. This is why we upload a new learning video every single day. Our goal is to help you grow your skills faster and achieve that natural, confident sound when you speak. In today's episode, we are moving beyond simple grammar rules and into the realm of true conversational mastery. We're exploring something transformative, a shift in your thinking that can completely elevate the way you listen, understand, and respond. We are talking about how to stop translating in your head. This isn't about learning more rules, it's about training your brain to think in English. It's about gaining the confidence to finally understand fast, natural speech without feeling lost or overwhelmed. You'll learn not just what new words and idioms mean, but how they feel in a real story, their subtle nuances, and how to weave them seamlessly into your own conversations. This is not just a listening drill, it's an immersive experience, a journey that will help you stop freezing, stop translating, and start speaking with natural, effortless confidence. Before we begin this journey, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and have pressed that bell icon so you never miss one of our daily lessons. Now, relax your mind, open your ears, and let's begin. Let's start with a simple question. Have you ever had a moment when you misunderstood someone in English? Imagine trying to ask for help at a store, but the clerk doesn't understand what you're saying. Or talking to a colleague, but missing a key detail in the conversation, leaving you feeling lost. These situations can be frustrating, right? They can make you feel small. Let me tell you a personal story. A few years ago, my friend Liam traveled to the United States for the first time. He was excited, but also incredibly nervous. On his first day, he went into a huge, brightly lit supermarket to buy some simple pasta. The store was massive and overwhelming. He couldn't find it, so he approached an employee who was busy stocking shelves. Liam took a deep breath, remembered his textbook, and confidently asked, "Excuse me, could you tell me where the pasta aisle is?" But he pronounced it Hazel with a hard S sound, just like he had read it. The employee stopped working, frowned, and looked genuinely confused, asking, "Sorry, the what?" Liam felt a small jolt of panic. He repeated himself, a little quieter this time. "The pasta azel?" He started feeling nervous and his face felt warm. He was thinking, did I use the wrong word? Maybe they call it something else here? I'm sure aisle is the right word. Then another customer who was walking by overheard and smiled kindly at him. She turned to the employee and said, "He means the pasta aisle. Aisle," pronouncing it clearly with a silent S. Suddenly, the employee's face lit up with understanding. "Oh, the aisle. Got it. Right this way." This moment taught Liam an important lesson. Sometimes silent letters and pronunciation make a huge difference. He knew the word from a book, but he had never heard it spoken aloud in its real context. This is why listening is so important. The more you listen to real English, the more natural the pronunciation and rhythm become. And when you hear common phrases often, you will feel more confident using them yourself. Now let's talk about another real-life situation. My cousin Chloe moved to London for work. She spoke English well, but when she arrived, she had trouble following conversations in her new fast-paced office. People spoke quickly and used a lot of idioms she had never heard. One day, she was in an important team meeting. Her manager was looking at a report and said, "I was out of the loop on this project last week. Can someone fill me in?" Chloe was completely confused and felt a moment of panic. She thought, out of the loop? What loop? Is this a computer term? And fill me in? Fill in what? A form? She was too embarrassed to ask in front of everyone, so she just nodded and pretended to understand. Later, she quietly asked a friendly colleague who laughed and explained that out of the loop simply means to not be informed, and fill me in means to give someone the missing information. This small exchange made a big difference. After that, she started keeping a notebook specifically for these secret code idioms. So here's a tip for you. When you hear a new phrase, don't just memorize the meaning. Listen to the context. Try repeating it aloud. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel. Now let's think about your own experience. Have you ever been in a situation where you didn't understand an expression? Maybe you were invited to a party but couldn't go. You send a text and your friend replies, "No problem, we'll take a rain check." If you're not familiar with this, you might stare at your phone thinking, "Rain check?" But it's not raining. What does the weather have to do with the party? But to take a rain check just means to reschedule or to accept the invitation for a later time. These small but important moments happen all the time. That's why listening to real conversations is the best way to improve. Let's do a quick practice exercise. I will say a short sentence and I want you to repeat it after me, copying the intonation. Ready? I'm running a little late. Now you try. Great. Notice how the voice goes up on little. Now let's try another one. A very useful question. What does that mean exactly? These are simple, useful phrases for everyday life. The more you listen and repeat, the more confident you will feel. Now let's continue with another real-life story. A few years ago, my friend Ben moved to Canada for a new job. He was excited. It was his dream to work in an international company. He had studied English for years from books and grammar exercises and thought he was prepared. But when he arrived, he faced that same unexpected challenge. Real-life conversations were much harder than he expected. On his first day, his manager, Anna, introduced him to the team. Everyone was friendly, but they spoke so quickly, their words blurring together. At the end of a long day, one of his coworkers, Leo, was packing his bag and said, "Hey, Ben, do you want to hang out this weekend?" Ben was confused. He thought, "Hang? Hang what? Like, hang up a painting? Hang up the phone?" The literal meaning made no sense. He hesitated, then just smiled awkwardly and said, "Uh, maybe?" He followed Leo to the elevator, still totally unsure what he'd just been asked. When he later asked another colleague, they laughed and explained that hang out just means to spend time together casually with no special plan. It was such a simple, common phrasal verb, but because he had never heard it in a real conversation, it completely confused him. That day, he realized he needed more practice listening to how people actually speak. Ben decided to make a plan. Every day, he started listening to English language podcasts on his commute, just letting the sounds wash over him. At lunch, he made an effort to sit with his coworkers, even if he only understood 50% of the conversation. At first, it was difficult. He felt nervous, but instead of staying quiet, he started asking, Sorry, what does hang out mean? Or, can you say that again, a bit slower? His coworkers were always happy to explain. Little by little, he got better. One day, he was in a meeting, and his manager said, "Okay, everyone, this is a new project. Let's get the ball rolling. This time, instead of feeling lost, Ben knew exactly what it meant. Let's start." He smiled because just a few weeks earlier he wouldn't have understood that phrase. This is a vital lesson. The words themselves aren't hard, but the way they're used in real conversations can be different. Now, let's talk about another real life situation that can be very stressful: traveling. Imagine you are visiting an English speaking country. You've just gotten off a long flight, you're tired, and you're standing in the long, quiet line at immigration. The officer, looking very serious, asks, "Are you bringing in any produce?" If you are not familiar with this word, you might feel nervous. You might think, produce? Like to produce something? Does he mean something I made? What should you say? But if you have practiced common travel vocabulary, you will know that produce simply means fresh fruits and vegetables. A few months ago, my cousin Maya traveled to Australia. She was confident in her English, but as she stood in that quiet customs hall, she got nervous. The officer looked at her passport and asked, "What is the nature of your visit?" She froze. Her heart started beating faster. She thought, nature? Like trees and mountains? I'm visiting the city. This is a trick question. She took a deep breath, her hands feeling a little cold, and asked, "I'm sorry, could you repeat that?" The officer, without looking up, calmly rephrased, "Are you here for business or pleasure?" "Oh, for pleasure," she said, feeling a huge wave of relief. Later, she laughed about it. She knew the word nature, and of course, but not in this formal, specific context. This is why listening to these phrases in context is so helpful. The more you hear them, the easier it will be to respond naturally, even when you're stressed. Now let's do a quick practice exercise. I'll say some common travel questions. Repeat after me, trying to sound calm and confident. How long will you be staying? Now you say it. Great. Here's another one. Do you have anything to declare? Try saying it aloud. The more you practice, the more confident you will feel. Now let's talk about ordering food. This is a daily challenge. Imagine you are in a busy coffee shop in New York. The music is loud, the coffee machine is hissing, and there's a long line of people behind you who all seem to be in a hurry. You walk up to the counter, and the barista, speaking very fast, says, "What can I get you?" You're prepared and say, "I'd like a black coffee, please." But then the barista asks, "Do you want room for cream?" If you're not familiar with this, you might be very confused. You might think, "Room? What room? In my cup? Why?" My friend Lucas had this exact experience. He just panicked and stammered, "Yes?" The barista handed him a cup that was only 3/4 full. He was confused and a little annoyed, but then he looked over and saw the station with all the milk and cream. He had an aha moment. Room for cream just means, "Do you want me to leave space in the cup for you to add milk?" After that, he started really listening to how people ordered. He noticed that in the US, people often say, "Can I get?" instead of "I would like." He also learned that "what'll it be?" is another common way to ask for your order. And when the cashier said, "That'll be $10," he learned that bucks is a common, informal slang word for dollars. This is why real life listening is so important. The more you hear these phrases, the more confident you will feel. Now let's practice. I'll say some common phrases you might hear in a cafe. Repeat after me, trying to sound casual and friendly. What can I get for you? Now you say it. Great. Here's another one. That'll be $10. Try saying it aloud. When you listen and repeat, your brain gets used to the sounds of English and speaking becomes easier. Let's continue with another important area, making small talk. Small talk is that casual, polite conversation you have with people you don't know well, like in an elevator or at a party. It's a skill that can feel very difficult and even pointless at first, but it's one of the most valuable ways to improve your fluency and build connections. A few months ago, my friend Isabella, who is from Brazil, moved to a new city for work. She had studied English for years, but was very nervous about speaking with strangers. She thought small talk was a waste of time. Her first week was stressful. She was in a silent, awkward elevator ride with another colleague, Ken. Ken turned to her with a smile and said, "Working hard or hardly working?" Isabella froze. She didn't understand the joke. She thought, is he criticizing me? Is he my boss? Does he think I'm not working? Is this a test? She didn't know what to say, so she just smiled nervously and stared at the elevator door, waiting for it to open. Later, she realized it's just a playful, informal greeting, a silly icebreaker. It wasn't a real question at all. This taught her that small talk has its own cultural rules. Over the next few days, she became more comfortable. She started asking her coworkers simple questions like, "Are you from this area?" Or, "Have you tried that new restaurant downtown?" And she was surprised at how easy it became. Through these simple conversations, Isabella realized something important. Small talk isn't just about talking, it's about showing you are friendly and open. And when you listen carefully, you learn the phrases that help you sound more natural. For example, when Ken made that joke, he was just trying to be friendly. When you're practicing, listen for these small cues. For instance, someone in line might sigh and say, "This train is so crowded," or "This coffee is saving my life this morning." They are making small observations. You can easily agree by saying, "I know it's packed in here," or "Me too, I'm so tired." Isabella started using this technique. Instead of worrying about saying something perfect, she focused on the flow. One of the best phrases she learned was, "What about you?" When someone asked her what she thought of a new movie, she learned to give her opinion and then say, "What about you? What did you think?" These small, everyday conversations will help you improve your skills and feel more confident. This is something you can't learn from a textbook. It's about engaging with people and paying attention. Now let's shift gears and talk about understanding different accents. When you're learning English, you might find it hard to understand different accents, whether it's British, American, Australian, or others. This is an important part of mastering English. Let's take a step back. I want you to think about your own journey. Have you had moments where you felt confused in a conversation? Maybe you were listening to someone speaking quickly, or you didn't understand a slang word. It happens to all of us. The key is not to give up. Keep practicing. Remember, English isn't just something you learn from books, it's something you experience. Whether it's making small talk, ordering food, or listening to a story, every moment is a chance to improve. By listening to real stories, you start to notice the natural rhythm of English. You learn how words flow together, how people express themselves, and how to use the right phrases at the right time. This is the practice that helps you sound more natural. When I was visiting London a couple of years ago, I got a little lost. It was getting dark, the wind was cold, and I was feeling frustrated. I decided to stop and ask someone for directions. I approached a friendly looking person and said, "Excuse me, can you tell me how to get to the nearest tube station?" He looked at me and said very quickly, "Yeah, just go straight on. It's a stone's throw from the big chemist." That was simple enough, but I was surprised at how fast he spoke and I was confused. I thought, a stone's throw? He's going to throw a stone? And what is a chemist? I had to listen very carefully and ask him to repeat it. In that moment, I realized I had to focus not just on the words, but on the meaning. I later learned that a stone's throw is a very common British idiom meaning very close, and chemist is the British word for a pharmacy or drugstore. It was casual and quick, but once I understood, I realized how useful it would be. To improve your skills in this area, start learning common phrases. You'll hear things like go straight on, a turn left, it's around the corner, and it's just a few blocks away. When you're practicing, listen to how native speakers use these phrases. By listening to podcasts, YouTube videos, or watching movies, you'll hear these expressions in context. After practicing, try to imagine yourself in the situation. You're lost and need to ask for help. Practicing these conversations in your mind, or even aloud, will help you prepare. Let's move on to another practical area: handling problems and complaints. This is an important part of everyday life. Whether it's at a store, in a hotel, or with customer service, knowing how to express your problems clearly and politely is essential. I had an experience a few months ago when I was at a nice restaurant. I had been waiting a while and I was really looking forward to my meal. I had ordered the chicken salad, but the waiter brought me a fish salad. I had that awkward feeling, but I knew I had to say something. I caught the waiter's eye and said politely, "Excuse me, I believe my order is incorrect." I asked for the chicken salad. The waiter looked at the plate, then at his notepad and said, "My apologies. Let me look into that for you immediately." After a few minutes, he returned with the correct order. In this situation, I learned a few things. First, when you have a problem, it's important to be calm and explain the issue clearly. You can use phrases like, "I'm having trouble with," or "there seems to be a mistake with." Second, listen carefully to their response. They might use polite formal phrases like, "Let me check on that for you," "My apologies," or "I'll have someone take care of it." By listening to real life situations like these, you'll be better prepared to handle problems in English. The more you practice, the easier it will be to stay calm and confident. And remember, don't be afraid to ask for clarification. You can always say, "Could you explain that again?" Or, "I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat it?" Imagine walking into a bustling food truck park on a cool evening. The aroma of different spices fills the air and there's loud music playing. You approach the counter of a popular truck, and the owner greets you with a cheerful, loud, "What'll it be?" For a moment, you pause. This casual phrasing is very different from a quiet restaurant. You reply confidently, "I'd like a taco, please." Then the owner adds, "That's $5. You want the works on that?" In that instant, you realize real life English is fast and full of slang. You might think, bucks? That's dollars, okay? But the works? What works? Like it's broken? You'd have to ask, what comes with the works? And they'd explain it means all the toppings. This taught me that adapting to different styles is key. To practice, try imagining yourself at that food truck. Visualize hearing, what'll it be? And you want the works. Repeat these phrases aloud. Let's move on to another common scenario, asking for directions. Picture yourself in Chicago, surrounded by tall buildings and the loud hum of traffic. A few years back, I found myself wandering trying to reach the waterfront. I approached a local and asked, "Excuse me, could you please tell me how to get to the lake?" The local replied, "Sure, just head down this street for 3 blocks until you hit the main avenue." You can't miss it. Listen carefully. I thought, head down? Like with my head? And hit the avenue? Like crash into it? I was confused by these action verbs. I had to listen carefully to understand that head down just means go along and hit means reach. Repetition builds your confidence. Practice. Head down this street until you hit the main avenue. Now let's explore the art of making small talk again in a different context. I recall an afternoon at a local community event. It was a sunny day, the park was crowded, and I met a gentleman named Oscar. He started our conversation about the event itself. "It's a great turnout today, isn't it?" I responded, "Yes, it's wonderful to see so many people from the community here." That simple exchange about our shared surroundings, the turnout, meaning the number of people who attended, opened up a pleasant discussion. Think about your own experiences. What topics do you bring up? Practice small talk by asking questions about the situation you are in. It's often the easiest way to start. Now let's add another layer by considering professional settings. Imagine you're in a virtual meeting, staring at a screen of blurry faces. Your manager might pause and say, "Let's make sure we are all on the same page." At first, you might wonder what page they are talking about. You might think, "Page? What page? Is there a document I missed? I don't see a page number." In this context, it simply means to make sure everyone has the same understanding or agreement. When you encounter unfamiliar phrases, jot them down. Reflect for a moment. Have you been confused by business jargon? Practice by repeating, "Are we all on the same page?" until it becomes second nature. Next, consider the unique challenges of phone conversations. You have to rely solely on audio. I once made an important, stressful call to resolve an issue with a flight booking. My phone felt slippery in my hand. The customer service representative, Maria, said clearly and calmly, "Can you please provide your confirmation number?" I explained, "Yes, I'm calling because the departure date on the email seems to be incorrect." Maria replied, "I understand. Let me pull up your reservation." Her calm, clear tone helped me, but the phrase was new. I thought, pull up? Like pull it out of a drawer? I heard her typing and I learned pull up just means to find the information on the computer. Picture yourself in a similar situation and repeat phrases like, "Could you please repeat that?" Or, "I'm sorry, I didn't catch that." Now let's explore that stressful travel situation again. Imagine arriving at the airport. The terminal is loud and echoing and people are rushing past you. You hear an announcement over the intercom, but it's garbled. "This is a gate change announcement for Flight 10A to Miami." The flight will now be departing from gate B12. In that moment, you feel a jolt of panic. Wait, did she say B12 or D12? The speaker is so terrible. You'd have to find a screen or ask someone to be sure. Consider practicing these scenarios. Repeat key phrases like gate change announcement and now departing from until you feel comfortable hearing them. Another everyday conversation involves discussing hobbies. Picture a quiet party where you're getting to know someone. They ask, "What do you enjoy doing in your free time?" You might reply, "I'm really into landscape photography." I also binge watch a lot of true crime documentaries. This is a perfect opportunity to use modern, natural phrases. Into means you enjoy it, and binge watch means to watch many episodes in a row. Think about your favorite hobby. What words would you use? Practicing builds your confidence. Let's engage in an interactive exercise right now. Repeat after me. How are you today? What have you been up to lately? The weather is really nice, isn't it? I'd love to hear more about that. Take your time with each sentence. Practice them until they roll off your tongue effortlessly. This builds muscle memory. Switching gears, let's delve into conversations at work. I remember a meeting where our team leader said, "We need to meet our deadline by the end of the month." A colleague named Mia then asked, "Can everyone provide an update on their tasks by tomorrow?" You might respond with, "I'm on track with my tasks and will send my update by 5 p.m. Reflect on this. Notice the clear, concise language. Meet our deadline. Provide an update. On track. If you work in a professional environment, practicing such exchanges prepares you for real-life scenarios. Another memorable experience was during a long business conference call. People were arguing about a small detail. The host said, "Let's table that discussion for now and move on to the next item." At that moment, I repeated "table that" in my head. I thought, "Table? Put it on table?" I learned it's a formal way to mean to postpone the discussion. After the call, I reviewed the phrases. Ask yourself, how many times have you encountered these expressions? Now is a great time to practice them. Let's consider a more challenging scenario. Interacting with service providers. Imagine you've booked a hotel room. You're tired carrying your heavy luggage, and you get to your room, but your key card isn't working. The light just blinks red. You have to drag your luggage all the way back to the front desk. You say, "Excuse me, my key card isn't working for my room. I seem to be locked out." The receptionist responds, "I'm so sorry for the inconvenience. Let me reissue you a new key right away." This exchange is straightforward, but it's crucial to be clear even when you're frustrated. Think about how you would handle this. Now, picture yourself in a local market in the UK, an open-air market with vendors shouting. A vendor enthusiastically shouts, "That's brilliant. Only 5 quid." At first, you might wonder what quid means. You might think, "Quid? Is that a type of fish?" Later, you learn that it is common British slang for pounds, the currency. This is a prime example of how listening to real-life conversations teaches you regional vocabulary. Reflect on any slang you've heard. Write it down. Over time, these expressions will become a natural part of your speech. Another engaging scenario involves social gatherings. Imagine sitting around a crowded, happy dinner table. One relative asks, "What was the highlight of your week?" You respond, I had a wonderful time exploring the new park downtown. The gardens were beautiful. This warm, informal exchange is common. Think about the simple yet powerful words you use: wonderful, highlight, exploring. Practicing these expressions in a relaxed setting builds your confidence. Now let's talk about digital communication. Email, instant messaging, and video calls are part of our lives. For example, when writing a formal email, you might start with, "Dear Mr. Jones, I hope this email finds you well," and close with, "Sincerely, Leah." On the other hand, when texting a friend, you might simply write, "Hey, still on for tonight?" Notice how the language shifts dramatically. Consider your own experiences. Which style do you find most challenging? Practice both. Let's move on to a scenario involving cultural events. Imagine attending a local food festival. A vendor explains a dish. This dish features a blend of traditional spices from our region. It's a very old recipe. You ask, "What makes this style of cooking unique?" The vendor replies, "We use a slow cooking method that brings out all the natural flavors." You can really taste the difference. This conversation introduces you to descriptive vocabulary, features brings out. Think about how you would describe your favorite food. Practicing such language enriches your vocabulary. Another practical scenario is participating in academic discussions. Picture yourself in a university lecture where the professor states, "Today, we will explore the socioeconomic impact of this new policy." After the lecture, you ask, "Could you please elaborate on how this policy affects different communities?" This type of dialogue requires active listening and thoughtful questioning. Consider how you might summarize what you've learned. This practice reinforces your understanding. In addition to structured scenarios, spontaneous conversations are key. Imagine you're at a community park and you overhear a group discussing a local event. One person remarks, "The new farmers market has really brightened up this area," and you might join in by saying, "I agree, the fresh produce is fantastic." "Have you tried the bakery stall?" These unscripted interactions offer a chance to practice impromptu speaking. Ask yourself, when was the last time you joined a spontaneous conversation? Now let's explore participating in online discussion forums. In these digital spaces, language is often informal. You might see a post like, "OMG, has anyone tried the new update?" It's a game changer. Even if the language is casual, OMG for "oh my god," game changer for something new and very important, it still provides insights into current slang. Spend some time browsing online groups. Observe how people interact. Consider the challenge of handling disagreements. Even with clear language, miscommunications happen. I recall a conversation with a friend where our opinions on a movie differed. Instead of letting it get tense, we said, "I see your point, but I have a different take on it." For me, the story was the most important part. Using phrases like, "I have a different take," "a different opinion," helps keep the conversation respectful. Reflect on any disagreements you've experienced. Practice using such phrases. Let's now shift to storytelling. Telling your own story improves your speaking skills. Imagine recounting a memorable day when everything went unexpectedly. Start with, "One day I missed my bus and I was so frustrated. But while I was waiting, I discovered this amazing little bookshop I had never seen before." That experience taught me the value of patience and observation. As you narrate, include vivid details. Describe the sounds, the sights, your emotions. Storytelling helps you organize your thoughts. Think about a recent experience and try to narrate it in English. Interactive exercises are an essential part of this journey. I invite you now to repeat the following sentences with me, paying close attention to the rhythm. I appreciate your help. Could you please repeat that? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. That sounds interesting. I would love to join you. Repeat each sentence several times until it feels comfortable. These exercises build muscle memory. Now imagine yourself at a live sports event. The crowd is roaring. The announcer's voice, full of energy, fills the stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, what an incredible play by the home team. Such vibrant expressions require you to match the enthusiasm. Visualize yourself there. What would you say? Perhaps the atmosphere in here is electric. Practicing such dynamic language helps you adjust your tone. Next, picture yourself in a quiet bookstore. You ask a clerk, "Could you recommend a good page turner?" The clerk smiles and replies, "Certainly." This new thriller has a captivating plot and intriguing characters. This interaction introduces descriptive adjectives. Page turner is a great word for a book you can't stop reading. How would you describe your favorite book? Practice forming sentences that describe your interests. Let's turn our attention to public services. Imagine you're at a government office like the DMV. It's crowded and the lines are long. The clerk greets you. "Good morning. How may I assist you today?" You reply, "I need to apply for a driver's license, please." The conversation continues with precise questions. "Could you please provide your application number?" And, "Do you have all the required documents?" These formal exchanges require you to be clear and concise, even if you're feeling impatient. Practice such dialogues. Another scenario involves visiting a healthcare facility. Imagine sitting in a doctor's office feeling a bit anxious. The physician asks, "How have you been feeling recently?" You might answer, "I have been experiencing dizziness and a bit of fatigue." The doctor then follows up with, "Can you describe the symptoms in more detail?" When did they start? Such conversations demand clear communication about your body. Practice describing common health issues in simple language. Repeating phrases like, "I feel unwell," or "the pain is mild," will prepare you. Digital communication also plays a crucial role. Consider video calls. In a recent video meeting, a colleague said, "Can everyone see my screen?" and followed up with, "Please let me know if you have any questions." Video calls require clear speaking and active listening, and you also have to watch for visual cues, like people nodding or looking confused. Practice these interactions by joining online webinars. Now let's explore how discussing current events can enrich your skills. Imagine listening to a news report. Local officials are implementing new recycling programs to reduce waste. Such statements are filled with formal language. After listening, try summarizing. The report discussed how the city is starting new recycling projects. This exercise helps you process information, practice formal vocabulary, and practice summarizing. Another engaging scenario is participating in group discussions. Picture yourself at a community forum. A participant might begin, "I believe the new public park has revitalized our neighborhood, but it also presents logistical challenges like parking." You might respond, I agree about the benefits, but I'm curious about its effects on local businesses. Engaging in debates exposes you to different viewpoints and teaches you to articulate your opinions. Reflect on any group discussion you've been part of. Next, let's consider everyday shopping. Imagine entering a large department store. You ask a sales associate, "Excuse me, could you help me locate the menswear section?" The associate might reply, "Yes, it's on the third floor, past the shoe department." Such interactions, though brief, are essential. They emphasize polite inquiries and clear directions. Visualize yourself in this scenario and practice the key phrases. Let's also look at handling unexpected challenges. Imagine you're out with friends, and suddenly the weather changes. The sky gets dark. You hear someone say, "It looks like a thunderstorm is rolling in." Let's find shelter. In such moments, clear communication is essential. You might add, "I'll grab the umbrella," or ask, "Does anyone know where we can take cover?" These spontaneous conversations require you to be quick. Reflect on unexpected situations you've encountered and practice how you would communicate. Consider a friendly debate on a light-hearted topic, like favorite cuisines. Imagine someone remarks, "Thai food is the best because of its balance of sweet, sour, and spicy." You might respond, "I love Thai food too, but I'm also fond of the comforting, rustic flavors of Italian cuisine." This dialogue helps you practice comparing ideas. Notice words like balance, rustic, and comforting. Ask yourself, which adjectives do you use? Practice crafting sentences that incorporate these. Let's now transition to nonverbal cues. Even though our focus is on listening and speaking, nonverbal elements are key. Picture a friend explaining exciting news. Even on a phone call, their tone of voice conveys excitement. Their laughter, the pause, the change in pitch, all signal emotion. While practicing, try to incorporate these. Smile as you speak and notice how your tone changes. These subtleties make your speech more engaging. We have now reached a point where each scenario builds upon the previous one, enriching your understanding. As you continue, remember that every conversation is a stepping stone. The interactions we've discussed, from ordering food to professional meetings, offer valuable opportunities. Imagine your future self confidently navigating any situation. Visualize the progress you will make. The more you expose yourself to natural, authentic English, the more intuitive your responses will become. Let's now explore even more nuanced interactions. Picture a lively dinner party. The host welcomes everyone. "I'm thrilled you all could join me tonight. Let's raise a toast to good friends and new adventures." Conversations buzz. Guests share stories, debate events, and reminisce. Someone remarks, "This meal is absolutely divine, a real feast for the senses." Another discussion unfolds about travel. Notice the shift from casual greetings to more expressive narratives. How would you describe such an experience? Practice forming sentences that capture the emotions. Now consider a professional workshop. The facilitator starts, "We are here to collaborate on creative solutions." One participant explains, "My idea is to develop an app that connects local volunteers with nonprofits." Following the presentation, the facilitator asks, "Can anyone offer constructive feedback or suggest improvements?" This encourages you to practice offering opinions politely. Think about a project you're passionate about. How would you explain it clearly? Role play this, focusing on clarity and flow. We can also delve into the art of negotiating. Imagine you're at a market. The vendor says, "This item is priced at $20." You might reply, "Would you consider 15?" The vendor might counter, "How about 18?" Engaging in such negotiations teaches you polite language. Practice phrases like, "Is there any flexibility on the price?" Such exercises prepare you for real life bargaining. Next, envision a creative brainstorming session. The atmosphere is dynamic. A colleague suggests, "What if we try a new marketing strategy focused on user generated content?" You add, "That's an interesting idea. Could you elaborate on how we might implement it?" The discussion evolves. In these situations, it's vital to listen. Actively ask clarifying questions and summarize key points. Reflect on how you might contribute. Practice conversational tools until they become second nature. Imagine the challenge of unexpected interviews. Perhaps you're at a networking event and someone unexpectedly asks, "Can you tell me about your work?" You might respond with a brief, confident summary. "I work in software development, helping businesses streamline their operations with custom built tools." This spontaneous speaking requires you to organize your thoughts quickly. Practice preparing a few short introductions about yourself. Repeat them until they sound natural. We've covered scenarios from formal meetings to casual dinners. Each emphasizes active listening, thoughtful questioning, and clear expression. As you move forward, incorporate these techniques into your daily interactions. Every conversation is an opportunity to refine your skills. Now consider integrating multimedia. Audiobooks, radio shows, and podcasts offer authentic language. I remember listening to a popular American audiobook. I paused frequently to repeat sentences, mimicking the intonation. Such shadowing exercises can dramatically improve your accent and rhythm. Choose a short audio clip and practice shadowing it. Notice the subtle inflections. Over time, your ability to replicate these patterns will enhance your proficiency. In addition to shadowing, consider language learning apps. Many feature lessons where you can record your voice, get feedback, and compare your pronunciation. This immediate feedback is invaluable. Ask yourself, which app or resource has helped you most? If you haven't tried one, explore a few. We have now covered numerous scenarios. Each situation is designed to immerse you in real-life English. As you practice, remember that improvement comes gradually. Celebrate each small success and view mistakes as opportunities for learning. Now let's move on to exploring even more advanced techniques. Imagine engaging in a lively debate. One person might say, "Social media has revolutionized communication, but it has also created echo chambers." You could respond, "I see your point, and I wonder how we can balance connectivity with critical thinking." What do you think are some practical solutions? This requires you to listen, process, and articulate clearly. Practice summarizing what others say and building on it. This active engagement is a powerful way to improve. Think about how you can apply these techniques. Perhaps start a conversation journal. Write down interesting phrases or idioms. Reflect on conversations you had. What worked well? This reflective practice turns everyday interactions into learning experiences. Consider role-playing exercises. Imagine a job interview, a customer complaint, a casual chat, and act them out. This reinforces vocabulary and helps you develop a natural style. Challenge yourself by switching roles. How does your language change? This makes you more adaptable. Furthermore, delve into discussions about abstract topics, dreams, ambitions, philosophical questions. For instance, what do you believe is the most important quality for resilience? Such open ended questions invite detailed responses and require you to think critically in English. Practice forming your thoughts on these topics. Over time, your ability to discuss complex subjects will improve. As you continue, vary your sources of input. Listen to podcasts from different regions, watch interviews, read aloud from various genres. Each medium offers challenges and rewards. Ask yourself, which source of English do you enjoy most? How can you incorporate it into your practice? Balancing content will ensure you're prepared for any situation. Imagine a scenario where you attend a live workshop. The facilitator welcomes everyone. Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to dive into today's creative session. As the workshop progresses, you participate, share ideas, and listen. You might say, I found that exercise very inspiring. It really opened my mind to new possibilities. Reflect on how these environments force you to adapt your language in real time. How can you seek out more of these opportunities? Another engaging context is interacting in informal digital spaces. Join an online chat room or a discussion board on topics you enjoy. Whether it's travel, cooking, or technology, these platforms show you natural written English. They offer a less intimidating environment. Read through discussions, note interesting phrases, and contribute. Ask yourself, what have you learned from online conversations? Embrace the diversity of language. We have now journeyed through numerous scenarios. Each experience builds your ability to understand and respond naturally. Remember, every conversation is an opportunity, and every mistake is a stepping stone. Keep challenging yourself, keep practicing, and most importantly, keep enjoying the process. So imagine you're stepping into the world of English conversation. You might feel nervous, but that's perfectly normal. Every time you try, you're improving. When it comes to speaking confidently, it's not about being perfect. It's about being clear and comfortable. Let's go ahead and look at how you can start by practicing small, everyday phrases. For example, when introducing yourself, Hi, my name is your name. Nice to meet you. This simple sentence is a great way to practice pronunciation and timing. Another great sentence is, How are you today? It's a friendly way to start. When people ask you, respond with, I'm doing well, thank you, or I'm good. How about you? This keeps the conversation going. Next, let's talk about expressing your thoughts clearly. You don't have to use long sentences. Simple is often effective. If someone asks what you did today, say, I went to the park or I worked on a project. Keeping things clear helps your listener and makes you feel more comfortable. One challenge is knowing how to react. Listen closely. If they ask a question, show you're interested. You can say, That sounds interesting, or I never thought of it that way. These simple phrases show you're actively listening. If you're not sure how to respond, it's okay to take a moment. A good way to give yourself time is by saying, Let me think about that for a second. This buys you time to gather your thoughts. When it comes to speaking in formal settings like a job interview, you might use different phrases. The idea is the same. Be clear, concise, and confident. Instead of, I like this idea, you could say, I believe this is a good approach. It's more formal, but communicates the same thing. Remember, the key is to practice regularly. You can practice every day. If you're at the grocery store, read the labels in English. Practice saying the names of things you're buying. You can also practice with friends or family. One of the best ways is using apps or language exchange programs. You can practice with other learners or native speakers. Look for online communities. Another great tip is to listen to English podcasts, watch TV shows, or read books. When you listen, you'll hear common phrases. Try to repeat them aloud. This helps you get used to the rhythm and flow. Don't forget to celebrate your progress. Every conversation is a step forward. Even if you make mistakes, that's okay. The most important thing is that you're learning. The more you practice, the easier it will get, and soon you'll be speaking English more naturally and confidently. Another important part of building confidence is finding topics you're passionate about. If you're excited, it's easier to speak. If you love sports, talk about your favorite teams. If you enjoy cooking, describe recipes. When you talk about things you enjoy, you'll feel more motivated. But what if you don't feel like you have much to talk about? That's okay. You don't always need a big story. Sometimes it's just a casual conversation. Start with simple questions. What did you do today? Or, do you like this movie? Small talk is a great way to practice and build confidence. Lastly, always keep in mind that this is a journey, not a race. It takes time and practice. There will be ups and downs. But as long as you keep pushing forward, you'll keep improving. So don't be afraid to make mistakes and don't be afraid to speak up. Every conversation is an opportunity, and each one will bring you closer to your goal. Let's continue. It's great that you're ready to dive deeper. Let's build on everything we've covered, focusing more on everyday English with even more real life examples. Remember, English isn't just about knowing words. It's about how you use them and how comfortable you are. The more real life scenarios you practice, the more you'll feel like an English speaker. Let's start with something you do every day. Chatting with friends or family. These are great opportunities. For example, maybe you're having dinner. You could say, "This soup is delicious. How did you make it?" Or, "I love the taste of this dish. Do you know where I can find the recipe?" By starting simple, you're practicing how to start and continue a conversation. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll feel. Now let's look at making small talk. At the grocery store, you might be in line and say, "It looks like it's going to rain today. Do you think it will?" Or, "These avocados look so fresh. Have you tried them?" You're not just practicing vocabulary, you're practicing making observations and asking questions. Don't forget, small talk is a great way to practice without pressure. You can even practice while running errands. At the post office, you might need to ask, "Can you help me? I need to send this package overseas. What do I need to do?" This sentence helps you practice asking for help and talking about a common activity. Don't worry about mistakes. What matters is putting yourself in situations where you can practice speaking naturally. But it's not just about talking with strangers. Sometimes you'll want deeper conversations. When discussing something personal, it's important to be clear. For example, "I had an amazing weekend. I went hiking with some friends, and the view from the top was incredible." Have you ever been hiking around here? Here, you're not just sharing, you're giving your friend a chance to share their thoughts. Now, let's think about practicing when you're alone. This can be really helpful. You can read aloud from books or watch a TV show and repeat what the characters say. It might feel strange at first, but over time, it improves your pronunciation, rhythm, and fluency. Another thing you can do is talk about your day in English. For example, today I woke up early, had breakfast, and then went to work. After work, I met a friend for coffee. Oh, it was a busy day, but a good one. This is a simple way to practice forming sentences. As you gain confidence, you might want to discuss specific topics: sports, movies, hobbies, current events. The goal is to expand your vocabulary. If you're talking about sports, I'm a huge fan of basketball. My favorite team is team name. Do you follow basketball too? Or if you're talking about movies, have you seen any good movies recently? I just watched movie name, and I thought it was amazing. One of the most important things to remember is that it's not about using complicated words. Oh, it's about communicating clearly. Don't be afraid to use simple sentences. I'm learning English, or I like this song, are perfect examples. As you grow more comfortable, you can add details. I've been learning English for 6 months now, and I'm getting better at it every day. You also have to remember that every conversation is a chance to learn. If you make a mistake, that's fine. It's part of the process. For example, you were at the store and said, "How much is this?" The cashier responded, "It's $5." You might think, "Oh, I should have said, 'How much does this cost?'" Don't worry. Mistakes like this are natural. They give you a chance to learn. The goal is not perfection, it's progress. Have you ever had an embarrassing moment? Maybe you said something wrong. That's okay. It happens to everyone. I remember I tried to order food and accidentally said, "I would like a coffee with a spoon," instead of, "I would like a spoon with my coffee." The waiter smiled and corrected me. It was a funny moment. It's those little things that teach you the most. The key is not to let these moments discourage you, but to laugh and learn from them. Now let's look at improving your listening skills. One of the best ways is to listen to English every day: movies, TV shows, podcasts. You can start with subtitles to connect the spoken and written word. As you get better, try watching without subtitles. Over time, your listening will improve and you'll follow conversations more easily. When you're listening, focus on rhythm and tone, not just words. Native speakers don't always speak slowly. They use contractions, slang, and speak quickly. It's tough at first, but you'll get better. For example, you might hear, "What you doing tonight?" instead of, "What are you doing tonight?" This is a common contraction. Once you get used to it, it makes listening easier. One great way to practice is by listening to conversations. If you're watching a show, pay attention to how characters respond. Notice the questions they ask and how they show interest. You can even pause and repeat what they say to improve your pronunciation. Listening to podcasts like this one is fantastic. By listening to real life conversations, you'll hear natural pauses, tone changes, and different ways to phrase things. Over time, this will make you a more confident speaker and listener. So, whether it's casual chat or serious discussions, you'll learn to adapt. Let's continue and dive deeper into making your English journey more practical. The key is immersing yourself. especially in conversations that feel natural. When you listen to people talking, you pick up on sentence structure, how they express feelings, or make points clear. This is hard to learn from a textbook because it's about rhythm, flow, and emotion. Think about it. When you're talking with friends, you don't follow a strict grammar rule. You speak from the heart and adapt. Let me share a personal example. I was traveling and I was trying to order food at a local restaurant. The waiter didn't speak English well, and I didn't speak the local language. It was tricky. But we communicated using gestures, pointing to the menu and asking, "Is this spicy?" or "Can I have it without sauce?" Even though we weren't fluent in each other's language, it taught me how important it is to find creative ways to communicate. In the same way, when you're speaking English, it's not about being perfect, it's about being understood. This is so useful. In real life conversations, you don't have time to think about every word. You need to practice speaking naturally, even with mistakes. It's a great way to build confidence. Think about the little things you say every day. When talking about a recent event, I went to a concert last weekend. It was amazing. Have you ever been to one? This simple sentence helps you practice the past tense while telling a story. The beauty of this is it teaches you to keep the conversation going. It's not enough to just speak. You need to make the conversation flow. Let's think about a conversation between two friends. One might say, "I had such a busy day today." And the other might ask, "Oh, really? What did you do?" This is an excellent way to practice asking questions and continuing the conversation. You're focusing on the rhythm, how one response leads to the next. It's a skill that takes time, but it's worth it. When you listen, focus on details. How do people stress certain words, use pauses, or express feelings? When someone says, "I can't believe it," they may be expressing surprise. Understanding the tone and emotion helps you understand the speaker, so next time, pay close attention to how people speak, not just the words. Let me give you another example. A friend was talking about moving to a new city. She said, "It was overwhelming at first. Everything was new. New people, new places, new routine." She used overwhelming to describe how she felt. Notice she repeated new to emphasize this. This is very common. By listening to how people express feelings, you can practice expressing yourself in similar ways. You don't have to look far for examples. Think about conversations you hear every day, at a coffee shop, on the bus, or on TV. Each offers a unique opportunity. If you're watching a TV show, focus on how people react. How do they show surprise, frustration, or happiness? This emotional expression is as important as vocabulary because it helps you understand the context. When I was learning English, I watched a lot of sitcoms. For example, in a popular show, characters often say things like, "Could you be any more dramatic?" or "It's not that big of a deal." These phrases sound casual, but they're used all the time. By watching how they are used in context, I picked up on the tone and rhythm native speakers use. One of the biggest challenges is the speed. Native speakers talk much faster than you expect. It's hard to catch every word. But this is where real life experience helps. The more you practice, the better you'll get. It's okay if you don't catch every word at first. That's normal. The more you expose yourself to this, the more you'll understand the flow. Let's not forget speaking practice. One of the best ways is by mimicking. After you've listened to a podcast, try to repeat some sentences. Focus on pronunciation, rhythm, and tone. You can even practice in front of a mirror or record yourself. Listening to your own voice helps you identify areas for improvement and see how far you've come. It's like learning an instrument. The more you practice, the better you get. Another important aspect is learning different levels of formality. At work, you might say, "Could you please send me the report by the end of the day?" But to a friend, "Hey, can you send me that report by today?" In both situations, you're asking for something, but the way you say it changes. By practicing different levels of formality, you'll learn to communicate effectively in both professional and casual situations. In the workplace, certain phrases are used all the time. If you're in an office, you might need to email for clarification. You could say, "I just wanted to clarify what you meant in the meeting earlier. Could you please explain it again?" Here, you're politely asking for information. This is a great example of formal English. On the other hand, in the break room, "Hey, I didn't get what you meant earlier. Can you explain it to me?" This is less formal, but still clear and polite. And that brings us to the end of our lesson today. We have covered so much, from that confusing moment in the supermarket to the pressure of a business call and all the small talk in between. But the most important lesson isn't in any single story. It's this: you cannot learn to speak English from a textbook. You learn to speak English by living it. Fluency isn't about knowing every grammar rule or having a perfect accent. It is about courage. It's the courage to ask, "Sorry, what does that mean?" The courage to order that coffee, even if your hands are shaking. The courage to laugh at your mistakes, like asking for a coffee with a spoon. So here is my challenge to you today. Stop waiting for the perfect moment when you feel ready. Your journey to fluency is not a big event in the future. It is a series of small, brave, everyday moments, so just like this one. Thank you so much for joining me, Elena, here at English in Moments. We are here with new episodes every day. So keep listening, keep practicing, and keep being brave. I will talk to you in the next one.